Welcome back to the Full Fan Highlight Show. Arsenal 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0 at White Hart Lane. For the first time in almost 40 years, Arsenal win 3 straight league matches away from home against their local rivals, their old enemy. They jump into second place in the league. Lots of questions were being asked before this game. Lots of questions of the squad, of Mikel Arteta. How will they get through it? Will they be 5 points behind Man City before the game next week? Mikel Arteta, his Arsenal players, they stood up. They made themselves be counted, and they got all 3 points. When you look at Tottenham, they, I believe, were on, after 4 games last season, we're sitting there on 10 points. They're currently sitting on 4. It has been a terrible start, sitting in 13th place. Once they conceded that goal, if we're absolutely honest, they looked absolutely abysmal. They looked as though they were never going to score a goal. It was another day where Maddison, barring a couple of decent crosses, was absolutely ineffective. And that was without Declan Rice. That was without the main midfield for Arsenal today. Still, this Tottenham team, yes, they dominated the ball, but that was a lot by design. Arsenal said, have it. We don't think you could break us down. Romero today, shocking from that corner. Vicario, flappy. Absolutely, I'm going to call it cat flap. Absolute horrendous from that set piece. And as I say, almost for the first time in 40 years, 3 away wins on the bounce for Arsenal against Tottenham in the Premier League. Do me a big favor and hit the like button. Please make sure you are subscribing to the Football Terrace as well. Make sure you get that done. Make sure you have the bell notifications turned on as well. There's a comment here that says, Terry, you nailed it. Terry, you nailed it. I didn't nail the scoreline. I thought it'd be a higher scoring game. I thought it'd be 3-2 to Arsenal. I thought they would win narrowly, but with more goals in the game. But I couldn't for the life of me understand why going into this match, Arsenal fans were panicking. Throw the season away. There's no way we can win. We're going to be too far behind City. As I said in the build-up, even with, and was it 6 or 7 players out injured for Arsenal in totality? Some first team, some strength, depth. Arsenal was still a better team than Tottenham, home or away. You don't finish 50 points plus ahead of them over the last 2 years combined and not be an exponentially better team. This Tottenham side has also been found out. They cannot defend set pieces. And do you know what's really funny about the not defending set pieces is when Big Ange Postecoglou admits he is not interested in Tottenham's set piece struggles, has dismissed it, has said that it isn't important. No wonder it isn't improving in any way, shape, or form. But what you saw from Arsenal today, again, it doesn't dispel anybody's overarching concerns, but today was a masterclass title-winning plan from Mikel Arteta. He knew that Tottenham would want to press high. He knew that they would want to dominate possession. So he set Arsenal up in a way where they were almost impossible to break down. Resolute, allowed very little spaces in between the lines, or in my day when I was a kid, we'd call it having 2 solid banks of 4 and allowing very little space for the opponents to play in. Mikel Arteta got it right. He didn't have the legs in the midfield that he would normally have. So what he had to do was shut up shop. And I thought that Arsenal did that impeccably well today. There were a few occasions where Solanke, I thought, played quite well for Spurs, and he was trying to bully players. There's a few times where Jorginho was just out-muscled, and the extra speed in that Spurs team was paying dividends for them in terms of winning the ball back. But that defensive line of Arsenal's, and as much as it's sad that Odegaard's out, Marino's not available, etc., the fact that your back 4 is available, that is why I don't think Arsenal fans should be panicking at this particular juncture. They are immense. They have the best defensive setup, the best defensive unit in the Premier League right now, in my humble opinion. They barely concede goals. They have 3 clean sheets in the opening 4 games. It's brilliant. And we're not going to suddenly, because it benefits Arsenal, start to rewrite the history of the game. We all believe that title-winning teams are built upon solid defenses. I still predict City to win the league as of today. But the idea that Arsenal can't win it is a joke to me. That doesn't mean you have to be favourites, but the idea they can't do it is an abomination when your defence is this good. Thus, I didn't understand the panic from Arsenal fans because of the injuries. It's going to be very hard next week when you go away to Manchester City, but Declan Rice will be back. Jesus 1 week more training. You've got Raheem Sterling with an extra week of training, but we'll cover that later on. For me, a lot of credit today, of course. You look at the players like Gabriel, like Saliba. I thought they both had immense games today. They truly, truly did. But for me, the praise goes on to the manager. He got the setup right. It wasn't the most entertaining game probably for Arsenal fans. It isn't a game that you'll watch back and go, oh, wow, I was so excited with the way we passed and moved the ball. It was beautiful. It was amazing. Oh, my God, it's going to go down in the history of football. No. It was about coping with the injuries away at a hostile ground against a team that loves to move the ball quickly and attack. And Arsenal got their game plan today spot on. Absolutely spot on from start to finish. And I can't wait to speak to the Spurs fans later on the phone-in part of this show, because the longer the game went on, the less likely Spurs looked like scoring. And I think what Arsenal did is they took the heart, they took the soul, they took the belief and the desire away from Spurs as an entirety as soon as that goal went in. What I'll also say is this, I mentioned it earlier, Romero and Vicario for the goal, horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Get goal side of your man. Get goal side of your man and stay with him. Even if you can't win the ball, as he jumps, lean into him, push him. You're giving a player as deadly in front of goal from set pieces as Gabriel a free jump, free reign for a bullet header 6 yards out. Vicario was more interested in getting involved in a scrap. Again, we know that goalkeepers, rightly or wrongly, have different rules to everybody else. You can smash through defenders. You can knee people in the head. You can elbow people. I'm not advocating for it, but we know goalies can do it. Oh, I'm going to sit here and have a fight. Free header 6 yards out against Arsenal is horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. And it's a couple of weeks running now in terms of match weeks in the Premier League where Romero's positioning and defensive understanding has cost important and major goals for Tottenham. And it just isn't good enough at this level of the game. We know he can be a very good player. We know he's been amazing at times for Spurs, amazing for Argentina. That is why the criticism has to be strong. That is why the criticism has to be tough, because you criticize the better players more than the lesser players. I'm also going to say this, Brennan Johnson, this man is not a football player. He is not a football player. He is a sprinter. He'll do well at the smaller clubs where he's not up against low blocks that often and/or there's more space to play in. He just isn't good enough for Tottenham. He is horrendous. Maddison, James Maddison, as I always call him, he is the eye test merchant's wet dream. He's the kind of person that they have wet dreams over. Oh, he looks so good. Oh, yes. Oh, he's so good. They love it. But what did he do again? There was a couple of good crosses into the box. Outside of that, it was a lot of pirouettes. It was ballet. It was pirouettes and turns. And, oh, doesn't his lines look good? Spurs fans should be fuming at this guy. He is absolutely dog breath. Absolute dog breath as a football player. He really, really is. Look, Son today, very, very quiet game. Ben White, absolutely pocketed in. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. Look, I thought Van der Ven had a really good game for Spurs. I really liked a lot of what Solanke did. But again, Spurs didn't give him a single clear-cut chance in the whole match. That's because Son was poor. That's because Maddison did diddly squat. And it's because Brennan Johnson is not a football player. So you can't really be looking at Solanke's hold-up play, link-up play was very, very good indeed. But as I've already stated, what Arsenal did today is what teams that win titles do. 6 or 7 players out, a number of first-team individuals out, pressure. Literally the media all week. If they lose, they're 5 points behind. Then there's the pressure on the City game. If they go 6, 7, 8 points behind, the league title's over in September. That is how it was built. And they stood up. They They put their shoulders up. Let me start that again. They put their chins up. They put their shoulders out at the back, their chest out, and said, I am. And they delivered. They said, I am. And that saying, some of you may not have heard it, I am. It's what my fighting coach used to say to us. It was, when you step on the mats, when you get into the ring, you just say, I am. And I don't really know what it means. It just meant something in our gym. My old coach, Arthur, you didn't question anything he said like that. If you went, what does that mean? He'd hit you. So you just go, I think it means just stand up and make yourself be counted. That was my interpretation. If anyone's watching that used to train with Arthur, maybe you interpret it differently. That was always my thing. It was always just chin up, shoulders back, chest out, I am. Just go and do it. And that's what Arsenal did today. That's what Arsenal went out and did. And just in Gabriel's interview now, of course, they're happy. They're smiling, and they should be. They go into the Man City game now. Yes, they want to avoid defeat, but a defeat isn't disastrous for them now. It really isn't. And if they get a positive result this early in the campaign, it's already, the title race is on. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. But overall, as I say, excellent win today for Arsenal. They showed grit, determination. Defensively, they're the best team in the league. Mikel Arteta proving his maturity as a manager. But the way he went out today, and I would say this to any Arsenal fans moaning, oh, it wasn't fun. Do you remember Arsenal fans moaning for the best part of 15 years? Why can't we win ugly? Why can't we win ugly? I remember hearing, literally, I used to live with two Gooners, and that's all they'd ever say. I'd be like, Phil, shut up. I'm bored. That's all I used to hear. Oh, we can't win ugly. They did today. You will get some people moan still, but it's par for the call. Well done, Arsenal. And by the way, well done, Tottenham. It was an entertaining game for me as a neutral watching. Even though there wasn't a lot of goals, I really quite enjoyed the match. As ever, hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribing to the Football Terrace. We're going to do some of your super chats, and then the panel is coming out on the show. Oh, Jesus, a lot of super chats. You are generous people. I love the Football Terrace community. You are, honestly, I know I'm biased when I say this, but I think you're the best in the world. I really, really do. I think you're the best in the world. Big up, Terry. And Arsenal's acid test started well. Now we look to the City game. Absolutely. And then it's the 3 games after. Is it Leicester, Southampton, Bournemouth? As I said, for me, I stand by what I said. Out of those 5 games, Arsenal should be disappointed if they're not winning 4 of them. 4 wins minimum, I think you guys should expect. No Rice, no Martin Odegaard, still party, is what Musa says here. Going to be tough for Deji to say Spurs bench is better. Well, do you know what? That's such a great super chat. I think today, anybody that believes that Spurs' squad is better than Arsenal's squad, the myth has just been blown up, because Arsenal have got 6 of their players out, barring Basuma, who, by the way, a lot of the Spurs fans at the end of last season were saying we've got to sell, were available, and they lost, and it's a record-breaking loss. 3 home defeats in league football for the first time in almost 40 years. Wenger's Arsenal, who you could argue the best Arsenal team of all time, couldn't do that. That's how, listen, I know that ain't a trophy, right? So I know it's not a trophy, but that's good going. I don't think that was a dunk on Spurs, to be fair to them. Oh, it's definitely a dunk on Spurs. Whenever you beat your local rivals away from home, it's a dunk, bruv. Even if you smash and grab and don't deserve it, it's a dunk. Terry, are you going to talk about Ian Timber's red card? No, it wasn't one. It was a yellow. I couldn't believe Sky were debating it at half time. You could argue he wasn't lucky. If his ball goes over and the studs hit the man's shin, it's a red, but it didn't. So, yeah, it's not a talking point for me. If the panel later want to discuss it, they can, but I ain't talking about it. I thought it was the right decision. Romero, most overrated defender. I test merchant is what Dyke says here. Hit the like button if you think Spurs are shit, is what Luke Skywalker said. I'm only reading the super chat, Spurs fans. You can write similar things in. It's not on me. Spurs had 1 more shot on target than us with 64% possession. Timber was locked, and also Spurs' worst start to the season since 2014. Wow. I didn't know that. That is crazy. That is crazy. Crazy. Ange Postecoglou wanted to win and started Johnson. Stinky. Ethan, give yourself a round of applause. I thought we looked quite tidy when he came on, to be fair. Come on, you Gooners. 1 goal conceded so far this season. Happy with the team's performance. Martinelli needs to step up. Yeah, I did think Martinelli today was a little poor. Defensively did a lot of great work, and the appetite Arsenal demonstrates to defend is impressive. But he has to become better when he has opportunities in front of goal, because he was very poor in that regard. You're right. What do we think of Tottenham? I'm not continuing the song. I'm not an Arsenal fan. I'm not joining in. Deji better not hide today. Deji, where are you, Deji? Does anyone know where Deji is? Deji, where are you? North London forever, whatever the weather. Again, I'm not singing it. I ain't singing it. I've got to beat the allegations, bruv. Terry, stop the cap. Ange is not to blame for this. Did I blame Ange Postecoglou? I don't think I said that. Romero, lack of concentration let him down. The players were not efficient enough. I hear you. Arsenal were rubbish, and yet we could not do anything. So much chances to just shoot, and they still pass it. I hear you, Jerome. I wasn't panicked. Trusted the players to do their jobs. Now, I remember you, Martin, all week was saying, I don't get the panic. Well done, you, for having... Again, if you don't rate this Arsenal team, you don't rate the manager, I understood the panic or the frustration. What I didn't get are the people that predicted Arsenal to win the league going, it's over already in September. That made no sense to me. Personally, it was weird. The elephant in the room is the biggest problem, as that's Spurs' manager. 0 emotion, 0 ambition. I hate managers with a passion that do that. With a passion that do that. Like football fans, he said, where's the emotion? Mr. Robot is his nickname. I didn't have a problem with Ange saying that he doesn't want to win this more than any other game. I think it's right to be professional as a manager in that regard, because I would be horrified if I found out that my football club says, look, we're up for every game, but there's 4 or 5 a season, we're up for more. But no, I want you to be up for, especially in the league, you have to be. But I do get your point. I think there's a conversation around that to be had. Jorginho was awful, but with that midfield, I'm very happy with the 3 points. Look, Jorginho didn't have a great game. You're absolutely spot on. What I would say is that's why I think Arsenal went for an attacking and very athletic midfield to try their best to overrun them and create. It just didn't work out for them. I cannot do this anymore, Terry. Sick of the possession and yet cannot score. Sick of Romero, lack of concentration. And look, this is where maybe you can look at blaming Ange, because maybe what Ange needs to do is say, right, well, and again, it's risky, but let's just give Arsenal the ball. Maybe make Arsenal come out. You see fighters do this. There's different phrases for it. But Idral Adesanya, when he beat Pereira, he played possum. He acted like he was hurt so that Pereira opened up more. Bang, caught him. Sometimes that's what you've got to do. Sometimes you want to be the aggressor. Sometimes you've got to say, look, have the ball for 10 minutes. Open up, see what happens. So I think that's the one problem with the manager. It's one way of playing, and sometimes you've got to change it up. Sorry, I would have done that one. Spurs have one more shot on target. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy stat that. The most lifeless manager I've seen. I'm not a Spurs fan, but I don't come to fans saying you're a fan when you're just watching with 0 emotion. Lifeless response. He's got no plan B, even if they win next week. Joshua here says, I'm real interested to see if Spurs fans are still backing Big Ange. After this, and especially after these comments towards the fans at the end of the season, I swear has he won a big game at Spurs yet? I think he beat Man United last season. I don't know. I'll have to get Spurs fans to answer. Della Spurs, longtime viewer of the Football Terrace, says Ange told us he would not change anything for this game, and said he was backed with the squad, and fans accepted it. Now Spurs fans must eat this loss. We played worse with a better squad. Obviously, some sarcasm in that. Thank you, Della Spurs. Nav also here says, as a player, I see my manager doing that. I'm leaving. Simple as that. You've got no life. Oh, okay. I'm going in it. No skin off my nose. Just that's just me. I want a passionate manager. Who fights to win. Thank you, Nav. Sorry, I struggle with my dyslexia. I apologize. Set pieces are an issue, but any Spurs fan solely blaming Ange is hilarious. Sack him, then what? New manager starts well and back here in 12 to 18 months. Great point. Arsenal 100% dunked on Spurs. That game for Spurs was there for Spurs is taken. They sucked. Should have put Arsenal away, but they can't get the job done. Spursy for a reason. AFC Singh here says, just because we missed a couple of first team players doesn't mean real men should worry about the boys. Come on, you gooners. Yeah, it was very, very strange to me. The panic was proper strange, in my humble opinion. More super chats coming soon. We're going to go to the panel now. I know they're itching to get out. Look, there's almost 10,000 people watching. I want to say a big thank you to each and every single person that's tuning in. It means a great deal to us, but hit the like button. Please make sure you've turned the bell notification button on as well. Plus, I want to see you here a little bit more even when you're not happy with your team. That's a little message from our great community. Look at that, 10,000 watching. Officially the biggest live match reaction in the history of the Football Terrace. So I want to say a big thank you to all of you. I'm very, very proud. I really am. Thank you, Arsenal fans as well. But it isn't just Gooners. I see a lot of Chelsea fans here as well. I know you all. So thank you. Very, very humbling as ever. And look, we've got a lot of plans for the terrace in the coming weeks and months. Some of it is going to be amazing. Trust me. We're back in the studio soon as well. But listen, you're all the lifeblood of it. And I've got so much time, so much love, and so much respect for each and every single one of you. Have we just dropped below 10K watching? Get it up. Come on, get them up. Share it, like it. And I'm just praising you. Then it drops below only by like 30. But get it done. Get it done, people. Who we got on the show today? Here he is. We got, hey, Giuseppe is here. Gunnar Soul, Slard, Brandon, Nathan, Staffy. We got Dayo. Oh, look, I do feel sorry here. Kate is the only Spurs fan who turned up. Spurs fan is here. I'm going to go to Kate first of all, because you were the home team today. Obviously, a very disappointing defeat, but give us your instant thoughts and highlights of the game.
Look, it was just I thought it was a poor game in all, to be honest. I didn't think either team particularly did enough to win. Obviously, Arsenal scored the goal, so that was the difference. But I just didn't think it was a great game. I think it goes to show we've got so many players still in our team that are nowhere near good enough. Brendan Johnson is not even a footballer. I mean, I think I could do better than him, to be fair. Timo Werner is just, I can't cope with Timo Werner. Sonny didn't turn up. I mean, under Ange now, we've got no wins out of 7 London derbies, and that is just not acceptable. And this guy, I think, will be out of job very, very soon. I don't blame him for the loss, particularly because it was a lack of concentration by Romero, and Vicario was exceptionally weak for the goal. But I still think Ange is out of his depth, and I think it showed today. And if he's got the players that he wanted, then his player ID is shocking. So yeah, that's my analysis.
No, listen. I think there's an element to that. I mean, the way he plays Brendan Johnson suggests he wanted him. We've seen Spurs before where managers have been given players they don't want. They barely play. Brendan Johnson starts. Brendan Johnson is one of his go-to guys, and you are right. He is not a footballer for this level, and he actually found himself in positions today where he could have, if he put a good cross in or did a good cutback, you could have scored goals. And I don't know about you, I thought Solanke's hold-up play, physicality today was good, but where was the chance creation for him?
Do you know what? This is the big problem with Spurs. I watched us and I said to Jim, we could play another 90 minutes. We just don't look like we can score. No one wants to take a shot. No one was crossing the ball in to Solanke. Our best crosser with the ball is Porro, who plays as a wing-back. It's just an absolute shambles up front. And we've gone from having this incredible attack of Son and Kane to looking literally pitiful in front of goal. And there's just no clinical edge with Spurs at all.
No, I listen, I agree. And you did look, I call it friend zone football. Unique football.
Yeah.
It was just there was never, it didn't look, and I'm not even trying to be horrible to Spurs. I'm watching it and I'm thinking you could play for another 90 minutes and you're probably not scoring. That is how it looked to me on the outside.
Exactly.
Look, Arsenal were a very difficult team to break down and beat. They've only conceded one goal all season. There's something in that. And I think you're right. There's combinations of players like Romero that need criticism, Johnson as an example. I wanted to ask you about James Maddison. It was another game today where he just one good cross maybe, but outside of that, it was more about him sorting his hair out than it was creating opportunities for Tottenham.
Look, I called James Maddison a prick the other day on the top six, and I stand by it because that's exactly what he is. He's not good enough. You know, he flatters to deceive. Leicester was his limit. He's come to Spurs, and he's not good enough for Spurs. Every gooner's sat here smirking. Look, at the end of the day, I've had the bottles come on here and say my bit. Arsenal, they did enough to win. I thought had they have had Odegaard and Rice, probably would have got slaughtered, to be perfectly honest. And I just think it's going to be a long old season for Spurs this year. I really do.
It could be. I mean, the fact that you're 2 points behind my horrendous football team speaks volumes. I'm just, you know what I mean? I'm just putting it out there. We know how bad Man United have, and where it makes me laugh, and this isn't a dig at Tottenham as a football club or at the fans, because a lot of the fans watching like yourself are very honest, but it's the way Tottenham get talked up by so much of the media, yet club teams like Manchester United get absolutely ridiculed and are typically speaking better than them and win more than them. I know we're a bigger club and the scrutiny sometimes higher, but it just annoys me that it's, and I also don't think it helps Tottenham grow, because I always feel like you're being patted on the head like, oh, good boy, like you're a puppy. And
well, that's because that's what we are, Terry. That's what we are. Until we consistently can challenge, Tottenham fans like to think we're this juggernaut, but we're miles off it now. We're absolutely miles off it. Thanks to Daniel Levy, we've gone from being a team that got to a Champions League final to being a million miles away from the likes of City and Arsenal. And I've no doubt Man United will be overtaking us too as well in the not too distant future. And it's sad. I love my team. People think that I don't love my team. I love my team, but you have to accept where you are in the pecking order. And when you're bringing in the likes of Archie Gray in the transfer window and claiming it's been a fantastic window, it's not. You know, you've got to be realistic. It's not because I hate Ange. You know, people are criticising me for not liking Ange. I love Ange. I just think he's out of his depth in the Premier League. And I also think that our level of players aren't good enough to be challenging up there to even get top four. It's so competitive now, the Premier League. You know, even the likes of Newcastle, Brighton, they're playing such good football. But Jacob, yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing your defensive cutie today.
We're going to go to, we are going to go to Jacob in a moment. Staffy, you said you wanted to speak on Tottenham.
Yeah, well, first of all, I didn't expect a lot of Spurs fans to turn up, so shout out to Kate and obviously shout out to Jacob. So the Arsenal guys, listen, they deserve to give Arteta praise today, so I don't need to speak about that. I'm pretty sure they're going to give him the praise that he deserves, because he deserves a lot of praise for today's game. I'm just here to talk about Spurs because usually I get accused of being a Spurs twerker. Today, you're going to get the absolute opposite. So I need everyone to open their ears now, because I'm not going to lie, I hate when I get fooled. And today, Spurs have fooled me, and I will tell you why. You are going against an Arsenal team without their best two midfielders for the first time since they signed both of them. So they've never played a game since they signed Rice. They've never played a game without Odegaard and Rice at the same time. You look at it, and there is reasons why you think, you know what, this Spurs team, with who they have available at home, with the way they play football, they might do well. It is reasonable to think of that. And today, it was the absolute opposite. You cannot be pulling up what you didn't pull up. Your rivals can't be pulling up with a weakened team, no bench. They decided we won't play football today. People were saying today's game was ugly. I don't blame Arteta for it. Arteta pulled up saying, I'm not coming to play football today. So if you didn't like the fact that he lived up to his word, that's up to you. Ange, however, on the other side, he says that he plays every game the same way. He approaches games the same way. He does not approach Arsenal games different than any other game. I'm like, you know what? I respect that. Fair enough. Then show me that today. And this is why on Straight Facts I made the prediction that they're going to win 2-1. The fact today that you had almost no big chances created in 90 minutes and you had over 60% possession of the ball is woeful. Like I'm not going to make this show about me, and I'm not going to take too much time because there's so many people here. But you got dunked on in your backyard, literally dunked on. Gabriel actually pulled up on your hitter, your center back. He said, let's go bend for bend, and he scored on you. I don't care whose mistake it was. The fact that happened, excuse me, in your stadium is actually embarrassing. Vicario, I thought he had a very good season last season, but Vicario is literally De Gea reincarnated. This guy, every time there's a corner, it looks like it's a penalty. He struggles. I start sweating on when I'm watching the corner being taken because I feel nervous for him. Every time he looks like he's struggling on corners, and there's no solutions to that. And the fact that I said this before, that Spurs die after 60 minutes. I said this before, and it happened again today. Every time they finish 60 minutes, their plan just goes out the window. They cannot press with the same intensity anymore, and they cannot build up with the same intensity anymore. So what happens after 60 minutes? God fucking knows. Nothing happens. Nothing happens after 60 minutes. It doesn't matter who they're playing. And the plan dies out, and they don't have a plan B. I'm looking at it today. They conceded a goal. As soon as they concede a goal, what happens? He makes the changes. Why did you need to concede a goal to finally look at Brennan Johnson and be like, you know what? Brennan Johnson should be working at Subway. He should not be playing right wing for Tottenham. You have Odegaard, who I've never watched before this season, actually trying to take his man on, actually trying to do something, when Brennan Johnson is just being like a pussy all game and just passing it back. And they forced the cross all game. At one point, do you realize, you know what? This is not working. Let me switch up the tactics a little bit. And nothing changed. Nothing changed. I usually defend Ange, but I cannot defend Ange based on this second half today. This second half was absolutely shocking. And he showed me once again that he doesn't have the technical flexibility to be a top manager in the Premier League. At best, if he gets proper backing from Spurs, he'll be a decent manager with a decent team. But I look at this Spurs project and I don't see that next level because the manager will never get the proper backing to actually play the style that he wants. And he's not tactically flexible enough to do what Arteta did. There's no way Arteta, with a better squad than you, can actually pull up and play defense. He played Sean Dyche football. Let's just be honest. He said, today I'm playing Dyche football. And he won. He needs to get respect for that. And Ainge got to hold that. I'm sorry.
Listen, I totally get where you're coming from. Thank you, Cakes. Cakes put a message is going to drop out because I know a lot of people have got to speak here. Henry's here. I'm going to go to Dayo quickly. We're going to come back to Tottenham. Thank you, Staffy. I appreciate that, and I think a lot of people would agree with you. I did say we broke a record on the Football Terrace today as we hit 10,000 live viewers. We are now at 12,200 people watching, which is just astronomical. So I want to thank everybody that is tuning in. Please stay with us. There's lots to get through, but hit the like button and make sure you are subscribing as well. I'm going to go to Dayo because I know you've got to drive home, Dayo. Obviously, an important win for Arsenal today. What did you want to say, mate?
Hey, 1-0 to the Arsenal. I called the 2-0 win. I called the clean sheet. I made a statement last week when Arsenal fans were panicking, and I said, there's multiple ways to win. We can play defensively, and I mentioned our set pieces. Sulz, remember? Sad, remember? Brandon, do you remember? We got the 3 points. We got the 3 points. That's all that matters. All of this noise, all of this fanfare, all of that panic, where is it now? Out the window, right? On to the next game. Mikel Arteta set the boys up right today. Gabriel Magalhaes. Please. This was Gabriel versus Tottenham. Forget it. It was Gabriel versus Tottenham. Nobody else on the pitch. Defended like a beast, scored the winning goal. What else do you want from your team? What else do you want from your team? The trophies will come. The trophies will definitely come. Yeah? Giuseppe, remember I called this. Remember I called it. When everybody was panicking and losing their mind. I'm just happy, man. Dude, I had to come sit in my car to watch the game on my phone because I'm at church.
You went to church. Hang on,
Yes.
You went to church in an Arsenal kit.
Yes, I went to. I'm waiting on my kids and my wife. I had to come to. Look, I went to church in my kit including my shoes. I went repping, including my fucking shoes, man. Like, I'm like, let's go. Let's go. I knew we were winning.
I love that. That is brilliant. Listen, I'll let you get back to your family, Dayo. I'm sure you'll be on the show in the week, and we can speak again. Top man. Henry, you look fuming, mate.
Yeah, sack him. Sack him. We are not improving. I am literally, my heart, I don't want to get you demonetized, but I want to have one almighty rant because we have not got a fucking clue. And just not got a clue. He just stands there. Just who we are, mate. Just who we are. Just who we are. Arteta's giving it all these little tactical directions, close it down, open it up, doing the DJ decks. He has not got a clue, mate. And I'm telling you that now. 4 clean sheets in 37 games. 4. We have not beaten a top 6 side since a year ago. A year ago. We've signed 65 million Dominic Solanke. And what do? We create absolutely no chances. Our World Cup winner, 2-time Copa America winner defender, gets a little nudge in the back. Argentina, Brazil, the biggest rivalry in South America. And Gabriel, who's got 15 Premier League goals, gets a free fucking header. It's an absolute joke. It's a joke. I tell you now, we will get spanked by Coventry. We've got absolutely zero tactical brain. Arteta rocks up. Let's be honest, they weren't even good. But there's a blueprint out there, and now to beat Tottenham, you just got to sit back. If you've got anyone who can put a header in, you're pretty much guaranteed to win. We haven't got a clue, mate. Absolute fucking joke. Honestly, it's a disgrace. Sack him. People are going to say, oh, you're being overreactionary. No, it's not. They've just beat us 3 times on our own patch for the first time in nearly 50 years. They weren't even good today. Tell me who was good. Saka got pocketed by your doggy. Van der Ven dealt with Havertz. Who was good in that Arsenal team? There was no one good. But Arteta tactically outclassed our manager for the 3rd time in a row. And we've got Man United. We know what he does whenever he's about to get the sack. He pulls a rabbit out of the hat. He's useless. No one can say about, oh, let's blame this on Daniel Levy. £400 million he's had to spend. We brought in Johnson. He's absolutely useless. We brought in Solanke. We don't create no chances. Son's our captain. Put the team on your back. We don't run at our man. 1 year he come on the pitch. He's 17 years of age, right? 17. He looks absolutely lightning above our midfield. We've got James Maddison. You can now see why Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal and City didn't want to sign this guy. You can see why Newcastle didn't want to sign this guy. We have not got a clue. Not got a clue. And honestly, when Van der Ven's hamstring goes, because it will go, because it's made of glass, we are fucked. Because if he weren't playing there today, I tell you, that would have been 3 or 4-0. And that's no Rice. That's no Odegaard. So what's the excuse going to be now? What's the excuse going to be now? Arsenal didn't even have a playmaker on the pitch. Saka didn't turn up. None of that Arsenal team turned up. But that's the scary thing about it now. Arsenal don't have to be at their best. This isn't an oh my God. This is I'm fuming moment. They don't have to be at their best now to beat us. They don't have to turn up now to beat us. And now, the big question mark I've got for Ange. If people have got a blueprint to beat you, how do you counteract that blueprint? Because we've just seen the same game plan 2 games in a row against Newcastle and Arsenal. We had all the ball. We had all the chances. David Raya could lay there with a towel on that goal line.
No cups.
Yeah. We got all these. Oh, mate. Oh, wow. I'm going to smash.
Sorry, I don't know if anyone got the joke then. We got fire. We got water. We got tea bags. We got no cups.
That can't fly with me, Toe. That can't fly with me.
The only positive from that game is how good of a defender Van der Ven is. He is mustard.
I hear you on that, Jacob. Obviously, do you echo a lot of what Henry's saying here, or do you feel that maybe it's a little bit reactionary and over the top?
I mean, I agree with the anger. I was very angry at the full whistle. I don't think there's any Spurs fan in the world that wasn't angry at that final whistle. However, there are some parts I do disagree with. You know, firstly, the first thing he said, which was Ange or sack him, I think is what he said. Sack him and then what? Sack him and then we go get another Jose, the guy who can win a trophy. We go get Jose in his prime and Antonio Conte. It all fails. So what is the real end goal here? Is it to build on something that is going to struggle, or is it to continue to chop and change and hope that we can chase the glory that we once were like very close to but didn't even achieve? And to me, it's just feels like a fruitless battle where you just say, okay, I'll put it this way. It feels like we're trying to diagnose a symptom rather than the actual problem. We're saying, oh, I have a headache. Okay, so you're taking headache pain pills, and you keep doing it over and over. Well, eventually your liver's going to give out. But the actual problem was you have a cavity. Now it's a root canal, and that's why you've been getting a headache. So it's like, rather than fixing the issue that we've had for years and years and years, we just treat the symptoms of it. And Ange will probably be victim of it. I'm not very happy with him as well. We didn't make changes until we conceded a goal. Now the goal of conceding is a whole different story. Like, again, Romero, everyone's upset with him about it. Obviously, I agree with the sentiment that you get pushed in the back, you got to be stronger than that, in my opinion. You can't go up, you can't get pushed around like that. You got to be the strong man in the box, and you got little brother, and he's going to have to hold that, and that's what it is. But that's not Ange's fault that he got bodied like that. Blaming Ange and then somehow wrapping in Van de Veen's hamstring, and it just seems a little doomsday, a little Chicken Little, like the sky's falling around us, and it's really not. It's a match in which you would expect someone who's challenging for the title, you would expect them to come in there and dominate us, and they didn't. They look like crap, and we didn't capitalize on it. So it is unfortunate, because this is probably the weakest version of Arsenal we'll see this year, and we didn't do our bit to have our say in their title run. We allowed them to come to our house and take 3 points again. So I understand Henry being pissed. I'm equally as mad. I just, I did go to the other room, hug my kids, kiss my wife, and say, I am grateful for the life I live. And then I come back to it and say, okay, well, now let me look at Tottenham again, right? All right. Well, it was a shambles. It was all toothless, gutless. I mean, we say this every week. I say it every week. We do nothing with the ball in the final third. We are the worst possession team in the final third. We just do the horseshoe hotspur, and then we start running out of ideas. Inevitably turns it over, puts us in a bad position. And I agree with, I don't know who said it. I can't remember who I was listening to, but they said something about Vicario that every corner is like a PK as far as how we feel, how it looks. And I agree to an extent. It's bad. But again, Ryan Mason has survived every single manager. And guess what Ryan Mason manages? Set pieces. The mole is there. He is the mole, and everyone refuses to believe it. But we'll sack Ange. We'll get Ryan Mason for 6 months, and then everyone will say, oh, let's look at whatever skinny jeans wearing manager is the hot topic of the month. That's what we're going to do, because that's what Tottenham fans want. They complain, then they get what they want, then they complain about what they got. And for me, I'm just sitting back like, okay, whatever at this point. Am I going to defend Ange for today? Hell no. That was atrocious. Why are you starting Brennan Johnson? But again, all the problems that are indicative of this club is not Ange's fault. But starting Brennan Johnson is Ange's fault. So I don't know. I'm somewhere left in the middle. I'm pissed. I'm upset, but I'm not thinking it's Ange's fault. I'm not saying sack Ange. I don't think that today's result is somehow an indicator of Mickey Van de Veen's longevity as far as remaining healthy. I don't think today's an indication of it. Romero got bodied on one set piece. Outside of that, I thought he was imperfect, or that's not the right word. I woke up at 4 a.m. to do a bunch of streaming today. And that's what Tottenham does to me. I wake up at absurd hours, and then I get abused, and then I come around and I just say, you know what? I'll accept the abuse, because I prop these players up. I prop Romero up. I prop Son up. Goody, can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. I fucking love Cuti Romero. He's the fucking GOAT, and I hope you know. That was a great day, because we scored. We scored when I sang that to shout out Staffy, the good friend that if anyone's friends with Staffy, don't ever send him a voice note and think that it's safe, because then you end up with that. But look, he got bodied. He got dunked on by Gabriel. There's no walking away from that. Sometimes when you're the guy getting posterized, you're going to be on people's walls and people will point to it, and he's going to have to hold that. And again, every goal that we've conceded, he's in some way or shape or form, people want to attribute blame to him, and that's fine if they do. Today, I absolutely give him that blame. But then the next blame will go to Vicario after that. But again, it starts with Romero. You don't get pushed, you don't get bodied, you don't concede that goal. But again, I feel Henry's frustration and anger as well. Because you think something, you start to believe like, okay, we are doing things a little bit different, and then it's the same thing. It's like your homeboy who keeps going back to the girl that cheated on him, and he's like, she's changed, and I'm that dude right now. She's changed. She's changed. She's changed though. She's changed. You know what?
We've got a cultural reference for that in the UK. It's the Alfie Moon Cat Slater effect. So we've got a big soap over here, and Kate Slater, over 20 years, she kept on cheating on her husband Alfie Moon, but they end up back together. And then she always cheats with somebody else. And I get that feeling. It really does exist.
Yeah,
it does.
That's me. I thought she changed, but she didn't.
Look, I want to speak to the Arsenal fans as well on the show. We've got a lot of super chats to get through. We haven't forgotten them. We'll get to them later. We're here. There's no other game involving the top 6 clubs. So we'll come back to, we'll be able to get through all of it. Giuseppe, a massive win for you today in terms of the context of the situation. We can hear Brandon. You're right. We can hear you. I'll mute you just in case he doesn't know if we can hear him. I don't know what he's going to say. I'll put him backstage so that loads out. Giuseppe, talk to me.
Listen, first of all, I want to just say on Tottenham, the fans should think their team's a disgrace, because I'll be honest, about halfway, maybe 50 minutes into the game, your team looked defeated, mate. Like, knowing they looked like they knew we're better than them. They knew Arsenal were just superior to them on their home soil, and they just turned over and just didn't do nothing, mate. No threat whatsoever. We were sitting there nervous for the game as always, but you look back, Spurs done nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I think it's actually the one thing I will say, Henry, that I disagree with is that you're saying Arsenal played crap. We didn't. We played the right game plan, and defensively we were
going
quality.
forward though. You didn't offer a huge amount.
We didn't need to. And this is the thing. The thing is, you're so bad that we don't need to do that. And
that's
the thing is,
that's
Spurs, and this is the problem with Spurs fans, and you deserve it. Not maybe you, Henry, or Jacob, but Spurs fans deserve this because you overhype your team every single season. Yeah, you talk about Maddison and you try and compare him to Odegaard. Odegaard was the better player today, and he didn't even play. And he was better than Maddison today, bro. Maddison was awful. Ange Postecoglou, the way they gassed him up, he's better than Arteta. You guys deserve all this now, because you don't learn to just not say anything. Vicario, Raya's better than him. Like, I don't care what anyone would say. Oh, Vicario, this because he started really good. He's shocking. He is a liability for you. Every single corner, your team looks stressed, and it starts from him. He looks so stressed. He's there, and he's Italian. I should be backing this guy. Yeah, I don't want him as Italy's keeper. Please keep playing crap for Spurs, so you don't play for Italy. But listen, that was just on Spurs. But on Arsenal, I thought we done what we had to do today, and I thought we were quality for it. People, Arsenal fans, yeah, certain Arsenal fans, I believe they don't watch football correctly, because they'll sit here and go, oh, we were this, we were that, we were awful. Saka had a stinker. Saka didn't have a stinker. He weren't great going forward, but as a whole performance, he was quality today. He was locking up that side with Ben White, and he was letting nothing happen down that side. Sometimes there's more to football, yeah, than the attacking part of the game. When circumstances are the way they are, missing 2 of our key midfielders, having no defensive cover. Like, Timber got a yellow card in the first half. Saliba got a yellow card in the first half. And you're thinking, damn, we can't even sub these guys off if it starts getting really tense, because there's no one on the bench to bring on for them, because we've got 4 defensive injuries. Timber today, I thought, was outstanding. And I think now you're looking at it and thinking, damn, that was a huge loss last season for Arsenal, getting injured at the start of the season. And maybe things may have been different if he was in the team last season. Over the course of the season, he was a monster. He the way he gets forward, he's a dirty looking player as well, man. He likes to get into it and that. And I thought it was quality. And you just see the maturity in Arsenal. And I think Gary Neville said it. Arsenal haven't won the league yet, but this team has this maturity of a team that has sort of done that. Because the way we can just see through away games like that, like Henry said, in 38 games, or what it is, 4 clean sheets, where Arsenal's kept 3 already this season, and we've only played 4 games.
I heard this stat as well. I think this is in 2024, you're unbeaten away from home in the league. And these are the types of stats that mean something, in my opinion, which is why I didn't get the panic in this. And I'm not talking about City away. You very rarely win. I kind of get it. But this idea that you could lose 2 or 3 players and it's something, we're done. You don't go unbeaten for the better part of a calendar year away from home if you're a crap team. And this is where I'm at a point where I know Arsenal haven't got over the line and won a major trophy, but I still think it's almost because they haven't done that. That makes them crap still. It doesn't. It doesn't make them a great side yet because they haven't won those trophies. But no, I don't even mean it rudely about Tottenham. You are so superior to them. It is unbelievable. And I couldn't understand why it was such a big talking point this week. I just thought it was being overdone by the media, overdone by the radios, talking about it's almost like the all or nothing for Arsenal season this weekend. And I just thought maybe they were hyping it up for the TV views. I don't know. But I thought it was well over the top. Egal, what did you make of Arsenal today, my friend?
I told you guys set pieces. We were going to dunk on your head tops, and that's what happened. Gabriel Magalhaes came and he's like, woo! Take that. That's what he did. He came, he saw, he conquered. And guys, banter aside, first half, I thought the referee absolutely lost control of the game, giving everybody yellow cards. I always got to talk about the referees. But when it comes to the overall game, you want to know something? We did not have to be our best. Tottenham Hotspur, we found you guys out. And Arteta found you guys out a couple last season. And he did the exact same thing, but even more cerebral this time. You guys had no midfield. I thought we had midfielders missing. Where were your midfielders? You had Maddison, Kulusevski. What were they doing for the whole game? On top of that, Bentancur picking up a yellow card early, that changed the game for you guys because he couldn't do nothing either. So you basically had no midfield. I thought Arsenal were going to come into this game with a weak midfield. We were poor passing-wise, but you guys couldn't even take control of it. Also, you think you're going to beat us in the wide areas when we have two amazing center-backs? We have the two best center-backs in the world. I'm going to say that again. Gabriel Magalhaes and William Saliba are the two best center-back pair, the best center-back pairing in the world. Show me a better pairing right now. You can't do it because these guys consistently, week in, week out for the last 2 years have been showing it. And I hope, I pray that this defense is going to lead us to the title. I said it. I said William Saliba is going to be our player of the season. But today, Gabriel Magalhaes was the player of the game. Bukayo Saka once again getting an assist. But Tottenham, you guys are pathetic. You guys couldn't do nothing. You guys didn't show any attacking nouns. Every time, just the same old thing. And you know your manager has the audacity to come out here and say, oh, I guess we're going to get punished if we don't take our chances. Well, duh. That's what's going to happen. You guys bought a striker. We didn't. Guess what? I thought because you guys bought a striker, you're going to have a better attack. It doesn't necessarily work out that way, right? You have to have a better all-around team. And to the people panicking, stop panicking whenever there's a little issue. Because at the end of the day, we have a manager who will find a solution. You have to believe in the team and the manager to find a solution. If there's a situation where we have a player injured, like Bukayo Saka is injured right now, I'm a little concerned. I hope he's okay for the Man City game. But whatever happens, we will find a way to weather the storm. And also, 3 successive wins. We own Tottenham. We own you in your new stadium. You guys have been there for 6 years, and we've won more games in those derbies than you guys have won in 20 years at the Emirates. It just goes to show you that we own you guys. And North London will forever be red. You can't talk to us.
All right, but that's why you're comparing yourself to Tottenham when you're supposed to be contending for a
because we
title.
just
But
played
you're
a
like,
game.
we bought a striker, but we
Second,
didn't. But what are you doing?
One second. We just played a game, so it's like just because we're better than you, just because we're more.
Yeah, but we're talking about what we did in the summer. Why are you
comparing
comparing our summer moves when we played today?
I'm showing you guys that everyone keeps talking about Arsenal, saying we need a striker. You guys signed a striker, and you still couldn't finish anything. So once again, it
wasn't his fault that we didn't finish anything. So I don't know why you're blaming Solanke.
One more thing. It's not about the summer. It's about the fact that people complaining in the Arsenal fan base.
But you brought up the striker, you nummy.
Okay, forget about that. Long story short, David Raya is an elite keeper. People need to put some respect on him also, because I feel like Gabriel Magalhaes and Saliba get a lot of credit for his defensive record. He's showing this season 4 games in a row. He's put in solid defensive performances. And Ethan came in and was saying, shake and bake Ricky Bobby on your boys. This guy's 17 years old. 17 years old. And he's
you're shameless. You were one of them that said, I have no faith in Ethan coming in. No. I'm not letting you have this. I'm not letting you have this. No.
You're gonna hear it. You're gonna hear it. But yeah, for sure, Tottenham. We told you guys, you're not on our level. Please stop comparing yourselves to us. Stop testing yourselves against us and saying this is what the barometer. Because your barometer is not Arsenal. Your barometer is You got to look at the Manchester United. You got to look at Chelsea. You got to look at some of these other teams down the table. That's where you got to test yourself. Because when Manchester United faced Liverpool back in the day when they're in title races, even if Liverpool had injuries, you knew that most likely they're going to get a result in that game. The disrespect I was hearing from Tottenham fans going into this game, they're favorites. They feel confident. They think they're going to win. You guys disillusion yourself. And once again, your manager let you down, your players let you down, and you guys are sitting here looking like idiots because you know your team is not as good as what you're saying it is. But every single time you hype it up. So stop it.
Gunner Souls, what you saying, bro?
I told man about Ethan Nawari and everyone looked at me like I was the crazy one. Yeah, all of you had no faith. He comes on, does a little cameo, and now you all want to twerk for him. Nah. Sit back in your caves. I'm not letting none of you are allowed to talk on my guy's name. Because you all said he's 17, you don't throw him in. Man comes in and puts them on their asses, like we've been doing all the time anyway. But the reality is, look, I want to talk about Mikel because a lot of people discredit him and say that he can't deal with adversity. One game down, we've got a big one on next week. And I do think he's going to make it 2 for 2. And that's my belief because he is giving me more and more belief that he can do it. We were questioning whether we can win the league because Rodri and Foden and Bernardo Silva have barely featured and Pep was still finding ways to win those games. Now we're doing it without Odegaard and Rice. And we're looking at it from a perspective that maybe Bukayo Saka might be missing as well. This is what we call a making of a generational manager. And I'll keep saying it. I don't care how many times people want to back it. He is in the makings of becoming one of the greats. He is going to be in those conversations the longer his career goes. And as long as he doesn't have any health issues or he doesn't have to cut his career short, he is going to be amongst those conversations as a tactical manager because he is time and time again proving himself season upon season that no matter what the challenge is, he's there for it. Because, look, we know Spurs have their deficiencies. We know Spurs aren't, this great side but it's a derby, and derbies, can make a bad team look great because of how much emotion's involved, how much is at stake. You don't want to lose to your local rivals. That's just the reality of the situation. And I'll say North London derby is one of the old derbies which still has that sort of factor to it. It still has an X factor. It still has that hate, and it still has that blood in it. Whereas with a lot of other derbies, in my opinion, have died out a little bit in football. This is still one of those you don't want to be caught in an Arsenal shirt. You don't want to be caught in a Spurs shirt in the wrong place at the wrong time because you probably will get jumped, and it still has that feel to it. So Arteta took on the pressure. He took on the criticism of the entire media for 2 weeks in the international break, saying you've got no Declan Rice, now you've got no Martin Odegaard. How are you going to do it? He rises to the occasion once again. And this is the mentality of these players because they've been asked in a short space of time, whilst there's an international break, to change the complexity of how they play. Everything they believed in, they were told you're doing the opposite. You're now going to sit back, absorb the pressure, and hit them on the break. And not a single player complained. Martinelli today, bar the miss, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He stood up to the occasion with the amount of criticism that was being given to him. And like I say, bar the finishing, I think he had a brilliant game. He was one of our threats in the first 45 minutes or the first half or maybe first 60 minutes. The only person actually making things happen. Trossard, bar a few bad passes, I thought he was okay. He did an okay job. Kai Havertz, again, doing what he needed to do in this system to make things happen. And for those who are saying Bukayo Saka had a quiet game, of course he did. That was the whole point of the performance. If any of our attackers had brilliant, outstanding performances, I feel like we set up wrong. And, I actually thought Ange was being brave for the midfield he picked. And me and Egal had a text back and forth. I go, do you know what? It could actually pay off because what he's done is he's gone mobile against a midfield that looks to be immobile, aged, and doesn't have legs. And he put legs in there. He put players who can press, who can turn in the half spaces, but it didn't work out. And for all those people, I told you guys, we do not want to sign James Maddison when we signed Martin Odegaard. I said, go and spend the 60 million on Odegaard. I don't care. I am not spending a penny on Maddison, and I backed Odegaard in those moments. Now we're all coming back and seeing why. And this is why I'll keep saying it time and time again. People doubt this manager. They doubt the windows. They doubt Edu. Even myself, I still have question marks on Edu. But the players he brings in end up being superstars. And this is what we're seeing. Gabriel Magalhaes, he's a bozo. He doesn't have the best centre-back on the pitch today. Saliba got showed up today by Gabriel. Everyone praises Saliba for his performances. I'll actually say Gabriel's been our best defender in the last 2 seasons, and people don't put enough respect on his name, and people say Saliba's the best defender in the world. I actually think Gabriel makes him look better. And I'm not, that doesn't downplay Saliba and what he does. I feel like he's the one that makes the eye test. Gabriel is a traditional defender who does all the rugged work, and he doesn't get praised for it enough, in my opinion. But one thing I will say, David Raya, you've turned me. I was a Ramsdale fan, but let me tell you, this Raya geezer, whatever's happened over the summer, different gravy. He is the perfect epitome of the modern day keeper. Not only can he shot stop at an excellent level, he is the reincarnation of Alisson. Everything that Alisson does, like he's a great shot stopper, the ability to play the ball, that's what David Raya is bringing today, and he has been for a few seasons. Like I said, and I'll say it again, Chelsea, your record is coming to be broken.
Thank you, Souls. Brandon, I know obviously, you get a lot of stick for being a negative Arsenal fan. Obviously, seen you smiling the whole way through this stream. How happy are you today with your team's performance?
Well, listen, there was two sides to Arsenal's game today. I thought going forward in terms of the open play, I don't think we was particularly great. I ain't going to lie. I'm not going to sit there and lie to people. I think the way we set up, we actually created the better chances, even those we was more the defensive side. Even those Spurs had the majority of the possession. I think in the first half in particular, we created the better chances, and there's one or two that we probably should have done better with. So in terms of that side of the game, I don't think Arsenal were great. And you can clip this if you like, yeah? Clip this if you like, because, as you just said, Mr. Negative over here, right? Mikel Arteta is not Mikel Arteta today. Mikel Simone today, yeah? Mikel Simone today. He deserves all the praise for that, the whole lot, right? Because the way that we set up today was perfect. Not just how well suited it was to the way that Spurs play and to counteract that, but also the players that we have missing, Rice, Odegaard, Sulz just touched on it. We got a midfield pivot of Thomas Partey, who has been very injury prone at Arsenal, and he's probably at the wrong end of his career. Jorginho is certainly at the wrong end of his career in terms of his legs not really being there. And what did Mikel Arteta do to counteract that? He said, "Right, look, we're going to keep it tight. No spaces in between. Let them come on to us. Let's see what they've got to offer, and we're going to hit them on the counter attack because we believe that we have the quality, when presented, to score the goal." And look, it came from a set piece, but again, set pieces are part of the game. Arsenal are just very good at them, and Tottenham are absolutely shocking at them, unfortunately for them. I don't want to ever hear the word Cuti Romero being mentioned in the same breath as a Gabriel or a William Saliba ever again. I said this last time as well. That guy, he's rash. He consistently lets Tottenham down, but yet their fans seem to want to put him in the same bracket as arguably the best defensive partnership in the world, if not definitely in the league. So I find that, and Spurs fans, don't get too disheartened, all right? I know you're all on here blaming Ange and all the rest of it. It's just something that's ingrained into your team. You've been like this for years and years and years. The plucky loser. Yeah, that's just what Spurs have always been. So don't be too disheartened. But, when I look at them and the fact that he had the ambition to go and play three attacking minded midfielders up against the likes of Thomas Partey and Jorginho, who are, like I say, are at the wrong end of their career. And they offered absolutely nothing. Why? Because we shut them down. Timber was excellent today. Timber, I've been a bit unsure about his first couple of performances, but today he was brilliant. Gabriel was brilliant. Saliba is always brilliant. Ben White, I thought Thomas Partey did his job really well. Gabriel Martinelli, again, Saul's touched on it. Although he missed that opportunity in the first half and wasn't particularly deadly going forward, his defensive work was excellent. Same with Kai Havertz. That was just an all-round performance. And when I say, you got to credit the manager is the one who set us up like that. But the players have also got to carry it out. So you have to give praise to all of them, really. I even think when we, the substitutions came on, And you got Ethan Nwaneri playing up. Well, he was supposed to be playing on the right hand side. He was supposed to replace Bukayo Saka. And the fact that Gabriel Jesus went, look, I'm the experienced guy. I'll go out to the right. You do the little press up top. You ain't got too much responsibility. I think that was sensible by him. So we're showing a bit of maturity, Tell. But I am one of the fans who doesn't think Arsenal have done enough in the transfer window. And although we've won today, it does not change my mind. It does not change my mind that I'm worried about the extent of Odegaard's injury, how long he can be out for. Obviously we're going to get Declan Rice back in the next game, but just because Mikel Arteta has shown this against Tottenham, let's not forget Tottenham, like I just said, they're probably in and around top 4. They're not a great side. We did this exact game plan to them last season. This is something that's worked for us before.
Yeah.
So to sit there and say that because he's done that today means that he can now find a solution to this problem, I don't think so, because every game's different.
Yeah. I understand it. I don't want to dwell too much on that. I think there's a conversation for later in the week on some of the other shows. I would say this. I don't think it answers or proves that you did enough in the summer. I equally don't think you've got an opinion you haven't. Some people have an opinion you have. I don't think 4 games into the season, anybody can be proven right or wrong. And I think that's maybe what's happened in the last 2 weeks with Arsenal fans. And we're all guilty of this at times with our clubs. We look for a very short level of sample size to get that confirmation bias to say, fucking knew I was right. The irony is all the people have said there's no way our squad's strong enough. If you lost today and lose against City, they'd say, told you. If you win today, which you have, and then beat City away from home, those people won't go, oh, I was wrong, actually. They'll go, wait, we'll still get... Do you know what I mean? It's just, I think people have got to wait on those conversations. Saad, you've been with us a long time. What did you make of Arsenal's... Arteta getting a lot of praise for the setup. How proud were you of that display and the 3 points?
Well, firstly, when are we going to start calling it 3 Point Lane? Are we going to inherit that name now, and it's just going to be 3 Point Lane from now on? Listen, I'm happy. This is exactly the game plan that we went out to do. Actually, if everybody looks at the actual game back, and you actually look back at it now, and you see Saka's job was exactly what Martinelli normally does, where Martinelli doesn't normally get a lot of the ball. He's more looked at to do the defensive duties going back. But this time it was actually Saka, because they knew Son was going to be on that side, which I think was brilliant. Obviously, Saka didn't get pocketed. There was not much of an attack over there, bro, because he didn't get the ball much. He really did not get the ball much. So, listen, I'm happy with the tactics. I think what was said about Mikel Arteta outclassing Ange 100% and basically beating him on the tactics that he used. Like, listen, this is what happens, man. I think Mikel Arteta is. And this is the reason why I wasn't worried about this game, especially. I think next game against Man City, I'm definitely going to be worried about some of the missing players like Odegaard and stuff like that. But this game I wasn't worried about, because I know going to Tottenham, I know that we can beat them on on set pieces. We can beat them. Yeah, bring up to the thing. We can beat them on We can beat them on a lot. What's happened? Are they losing?
No, Wolves just scored a goal. But it was basic, but so beautiful. It was a really good cross. And I'm not sure who it was. One of the players in the middle looked like he was going to shoot, and then he just dummied it and left it for the back post for Mario Jr. But it was just the coolness to dummy the ball instead of shooting in that scenario. It was a really good goal. Sorry. It was very, very good. Sorry, back to you.
And one thing I want to say, obviously, Timber, Gabriel, and Saliba, everybody said it already, so I'm not going to just continue to repeat it. They were brilliant, yeah. But one thing I do want to say is that this was one of the worst games I've ever seen from Ben White. One of the worst games in an Arsenal shirt, and this is very rare for him to have those games. It's very rare that you see Ben White have a game like that, where defensively he's all over the place. On the ball, he was all over the place. Passing wise, he was all over the place. And listen, I just hope that he's gotten that out of the system now, and he can go back to being the Ben White that I normally know, bro, which is somebody who's very good on the ball, technically above all of the other right backs, apart from obviously Trent. Trent is brilliant. But listen, I just think overall this was a very good test for our defense, just because of the test that's coming in next weekend. The test next weekend is massive. But we won't get into that too much because I know you've got the
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Nathan, I want to ask you this question in reflection on your overall views on the performance today. 3 goals conceded away from home in the calendar year of 2024. This does appear to be a far more mature Arsenal beast than what we've seen in many, many a year.
Yeah, it does. And I think the whole squad have this sense of, they take sense of pride in defending, and you kind of see it with the work rate today. I think our midfield today, for instance, is not a midfield that we've seen tried and tested before, in the likes of Jorginho and Partey playing together. And even with the changes and the uncertainty of the 11, having never seen it before, not having zero sample size to see how that would work, there's a level of commitment and aggression and effort that we saw today. And the players left it all out on the pitch, and that can be seen, you know, with everybody. When Sterling came on, when Jesus came on, everybody applied themselves in that same manner. And you know, that is the one thing, or one of the reasons why I find it quite comical when fans are quick to say sack Arteta or get rid of him, when you can see that the entire squad buy into his methodology and what he wants. And to go to Tottenham away with the injuries that we've had and the uncertainty of not knowing who's going to play where. We had Trossard today playing in a 10. I haven't seen Trossard play that 10 position ever at Arsenal, nor have I really seen it at Brighton either. So there was a lot of unknowns going into the game. So for us to kind of, you know, and with Martin Odegaard being so integral to the press for Trossard to come in and replicate that and offer us, you know, an option there today and actually do pretty well, it says a lot about the manager. And I think that's one of the things I wanted to touch on in regards to today, the difference in the two managers. I mean, we all spoke on the Heated Show about the tactic to beat Tottenham, and would be to sit back and defend. And you would think someone like Ange would have thought of or has another way to play football. And it was very much predictable. He did everything that we expected him to do. And they were there for the opening. We had chances. I think Martinelli should have scored. We could have scored before then. And even with set pieces. So for Arteta to come in today, and I think he deserves a lot of credit to do something different that we weren't really sure, to manage his squad. You know, play players who are used to, you know, playing in certain positions who've never played that role, and to get a tune out of them. And I think that speaks volumes to him, because that's not something we've really seen. I think we've been lucky to not really deal with injuries too much. I mean, we tended to have most of our 11, or most of, you know, the nucleus of the squad always fit. So I think I think it's positive.
No, it certainly is. Look, viewers, we're going to go to some of your super chats that you guys have so kindly sent in today as well. First one says, Terry, do you think the ref was card heavy? I said this on yesterday's shows. I think in every televised game this weekend in the UK, the referees have done this weird thing about making sure they're booking people for letter of the law bookable offences. Cynical fouls very early, delaying restarts. We saw Bruno yesterday booked before he'd even stopped the game. But yet the 3 o'clock games, which weren't being televised, it was like watching football normally. So I thought he was definitely card heavy in this game. But then it was hearing Mike Dean. It was the most hilarious thing. Him and Gary Neville were talking, saying, well, if you're going to start booking people for all these letter of the law yellows, then you've got to raise the bar for the second yellow, as too many players are going to get sent off. To which my thought was, well, what's the fucking point of booking them then? The idea of being booked is that if you do another bookable offence, you get sent off. If you're going to raise the bar for the second yellow, just raise the bar for the first bloody one. This is them saving face, because they know that they didn't make a mistake by the letter of the law, but they know they've been inconsistent. So what they're doing is they're being overzealous with the yellow cards they're giving out. And over the next couple of weeks, you'll see it fade away. Arsenal fans obviously won today, so they won't be focusing on that as much. But yeah, he definitely had a stink of the referee. There's no doubt.
I think the issue is also going to be the amount of suspensions that add up if they continue to do this. I mean, the way they handed out yellow cards yesterday at the Chelsea game today, there's going to be a lot of players that pick up 5 yellow cards with ease at this rate. Right?
Really quickly.
We're going to start missing a lot of quality players, and it's going to affect the overall quality of the league.
It won't last. It's like when remember that a few seasons ago, anyone who did a slight tug on a shirt in the penalty box, first 4 or 5 games of the season, you get lows and then it stops. Timber looks great. Waneri came on. Great moments when he came on. Johnson is just a shitter Theo Walcott. Listen, Theo Walcott looks like Maradona compared to Brennan Johnson. Genuinely, I wouldn't even like the difference is that vast, in my opinion. Jerome says not the studs, but putting his hand on Vicario. Yeah, again, you could make that argument, actually. You could make that argument as a Spurs fan that by the letter of the law, Urian Timber could have picked up, I'm going to put you on mute because you're moving your microphone. Sorry, mate. Could have picked up 2 yellows in that scenario. So again, if I'm being fair, we should be calling out the PGMOL for saying, well, hang on, by letter of the law, you can't grab someone's shirt and not be booked, but they chose not to do it. But that just proves that everybody was right about the Declan Rice red card, is that they very rarely do it, and they should be called out for the inconsistency, my friend. Kate, respect for showing. Don't want to hear any more Spurs fans comparing Gabriel Saliba with Romero. Romero belongs to League Two. I would say this: like, he's a very good defender, and statistics and defenders is a much harder thing to do. It's not as clear cut as scoring goals, etc. The same as though you could have 2 players that score 20 goals, but what type of goals at what stages in games? Are they winners? Are they openers? Are they a bit more stat paddy? Because you can do that sometimes. I think those things are really important. Remember once, years back, I did this. I looked at Kane, Lukaku, a couple of other strikers in the Prem, and it was looking at how many opening goals they get in games, how many winners they're scoring, how many important goals they got versus how many were the 3rd goal in a 5-0 route that a team was having. I think the same with defenders. I think you can all have good numbers and have good moments, but do you know what? When it is 0-0 in a really tough, close game, who makes more mistakes that lead to goals? Like, you again, they're the stats I want to see, because you're splitting hairs amongst very good players. And no, I agree that he is a level above, that he's a level below those two, in my opinion. A great win for us today, and has been found out. Also, I made this £5 super chat to big up Kate for having the bravery to come on. Yeah, in fairness, Jacob and Henry came on as well, but big up Kate, always shows up, and thank you for the super chat. I don't know how to pronounce that. Is that Sticky? I don't know. But thank you. My dyslexia kicked in bad with that name. Seeing 2 Qs together. What do 2 Qs next to each other make, noise-wise?
In English, I don't think there is. It's always Q and then always a U after it, right? In the English language.
Yeah, I don't know. Respect to Kate, the only Spurs fan who turned up today. Saka, amazing. Havertz elite, back 4 unbeatable. Raya incredible. Martinelli and Trossard need to sort their shit out. Our left-hand side is a massive issue. Just really interesting. I'm seeing a lot of people attack Saka online today. He was stinky and everything else. Attacking-wise, he wasn't particularly great. There's no doubt. But this is where Don's one of them. This is where their agendas show up, because you always get that. But what if he's not scoring or assisting, which he did do today, by the way, and corners count. The same as penalties for Cole Palmer count, and I agree with all of it. What does he do if he isn't scoring? Well, he ensured and he helped lock up Tottenham, who were the attacking, the aggressive side. So people always talk about there's more to the game than just GA, but they never want to talk about the other things that players do that are not just GA. It's so funny, really. And again, listen, it wasn't his best attacking performance, but it was quality overall.
And I think that's a contribution in every game so far this season for us on the league. I think he's had a goal contribution so far.
And there we go. That just shows the quality. Worried about Martinelli. Is it really? It is really long, bad moments, or did he hit the maximum potential? It's like there is no more progress. I mean, that can happen, and I think you'll see over time. I think he's lacking confidence. When he had the opportunity to score, what he should have done, Gary Neville got it right. He should have sprinted and cut the angle off for the returning centre-back, who I want to say it was Van de Ven, but it could have been Romero. It doesn't matter who. Should have cut the angle off so he could get closer and shoot, but he didn't. And that's because, look, we saw yesterday with Rashford. Everything he was doing was wrong. Scores a goal. Suddenly he's taking men on. He looks faster and then almost scores a screamer. It's what Martinelli needs is a performance like today with a goal or two. And maybe it's a confidence thing, but it also could be that he's maximum. It does happen to young players. Orchie here says, so frustrating and annoying with selection. Johnson and Maddison so poor. How does start of the second? I can't pronounce. What's his name? Odebert, there we go. Sarr should have come on, just side-to-side passing and no cutting through. Agree, Orchie, 100%. Gabriel's clearance against Solanke in the second half was brilliant. Yes, that could have that could have been a goal or a penalty if he mistimed it. Spurs fans deserve this. They are so cheeky, blaming Werner, who plays only 2 minutes as a sub in extra time, while Son, Solanke, Maddison stinking up every game. Arsenal have won more times at the new toilet than that has been open for 5 years, than Totspur have won at the Emirates, which has been open since 2006. That's a crazy stat. It's a painful one for Gooners as well. Spurs have won 3 of their last 10 Premier League games against Burnley, Everton, and Bournemouth. May Kangaroo football live on? I mean, and that's the element, again, why when it came to this game, I was getting called disrespectful, Arsenal glazer, all of these things. But you look at Spurs' clean sheet record, their win percentage in the calendar year, it's horrendous. And to ignore these things, I think is personally ridiculous. You'll fall in love. You know you will. Our number 6 is the king of Brazil. Our centre half, he'll give you hell. Our wall at the back is Gabriel. Ole, ole, ole. I'm not singing it with you. I'm not an Arsenal fan, but thank you for super chatting. I appreciate it. I'm just not going to join in with the songs. Shout out to my guy, Jacob. Hang in there, Kitty. Big Ange will come good. Where is Deji? Mr. My Club. Where's Durag Diaries? Jordan with that smug smile. Spurs fans have this unearned arrogance and need to go sit in the corner. Saka defensiveness roles was top notch, to be honest. Absolutely right, Abby. Mate, 3 wins in a row at 3-point lane, mate. Artillery will always be the chicken. Mate, you okay? I get what you're saying, mate. Mate, you spuds are shit, mate. Give me more Ange ball, mate. Spurs are just like every other club whose level is trying to win games and staying in the league. As a legend of the game once said, it's the history of the Tottenham. We believe in the history. Big up there. It's kind of true. Orchie also said here, don't know if sacking Ange is the answer. Let's not forget the majority of Gooners wanted Arteta out for the first. Do you know what I would say? There are elements that are not on the manager in terms of you look at the history of the Tottenham and the players they've bought, but you have to look at his tactics. That element he can control, and it is one way to play. And I think there's elements of it which I respect. Well, just start playing, like implement your brand of football. But I think unless you have a squad like Real Madrid's or a squad like Man City's, which most don't, because there's only a finite amount of players in the world, you have to adapt the way you play. And let's not pretend that Pep hasn't adapted his football over the years. And let's not pretend that when Liverpool were up their pomp, he started doing different things when he went away to Anfield. And he admitted that himself. So you have to adapt. And Big Ange just as, I'm going to do me. And it doesn't work. You know, the best fighters, the best tennis players, it doesn't matter what your sport is. You have to adapt at times. And he's got to. Absolutely got to. We're going to finish the super chats in a moment. Mo, been quite a long show for us. What did you make of today? A lot of praise for Arsenal. Go on, mate, go on.
Yeah, I just want a couple of points. I came here to make a couple of points. Number one, this love for Ange Postecoglou reminds me of the PR that Vincent Kompany got when he got relegated with Burnley, by the way. It looks very good, the style of play you play, but you got to understand some point that you aren't coaching Celtic and everyone is below you. So you're coaching Spurs. So your players aren't superior. So he needs to understand this. He thinks that because I play this style of play, I will win games. No, by the way, you can keep playing the same play and Man City's defense will stop you. Arsenal's defense will stop you. Liverpool defense might stop you. Chelsea defense might get better and stop you because Spurs aren't going to be the number 1 team. Some Spurs fans need to understand this. You having the position and passing the ball around and looking good doesn't mean you will win trophies, by the way. You might be playing that. And by the way, I fear for Spurs to turn into Brighton, by the way, under De Zerbi. Whereas, okay, the style of play is good, is attractive, but you aren't going to win trophies. That is the problem. I like Ange. I like the way he developed some players, but someone has to Spurs, like Kate, big up Kate. I love Ange and everything. I know why she likes Ange. The style of play looks good. He talks very well in the media, but at the end, that might not get you anywhere because you aren't going to be the best team in the league. You aren't going to attract the best players, and you aren't going to be the best team in the league. So people need to understand this with Spurs. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is that the bias from the Arsenal media today. Yes, Bukayo Saka got the assist. Bukayo Saka was not better than Martinelli. Martinelli created a clear-cut chance for Kai Havertz for the header, right? And Martinelli was actually terrorizing that side. On that side, Bukayo Saka, yes, he got the assist, brilliant cross, but overall in the game, Bukayo Saka's defensive. What he did defensively was more than offensively. I thought offensively he could have done more, to be honest, when he got the ball, but he was looking to get corners, which might be instructions. But a lot of people are talking about Martinelli. I thought he was all right today. Yes, he missed a chance, but come on. Martinelli would not have gotten there. He took Pedro Porro to school about 3, 4, 5 times to that line and created chances, but people aren't fair with Martinelli. Now, this was one of his better games for over a year now. One of his better games for over a year now, by the way, offensively and defensively, but people didn't want to speak about this, to be honest. Kai Havertz today ran his ass off on the pitch, off the pitch. But you guys, Arsenal fans in the chat and everywhere, you guys need to be careful. You guys now have favorites, and you aren't saying it as it is. Gabriel Martinelli was good today in both aspects of the game, because I see on Twitter, on the media, oh my God, he missed a chance. But talk about the other things. Talk about Saka not dribbling as well. Talk about Saka looking for corners instead of dribbling. Martinelli today was good. What he missed a chance, yes, but Martinelli wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for the effort. And by the way, that particular play, he was the one who was defending just 10 seconds before he was the first one to get to that point up top. So people need to speak about that. Arsenal today silenced a lot of haters and a lot of critics and a lot of people in the media. Mikel Arteta, as Gunnar Sulz said, proved to everyone that he's adaptable and he can create plans that work. So shout out to Arsenal and shout out to hopefully they can win the league now from now on. Hopefully they can go to the Etihad and actually do this and maybe win the game. We'll have Declan Rice back. Hopefully. Because I can't sit here in February with Man City 10 points. Above, I can do
Well,
this.
again, I think if you're not on, I get that some people don't want Arsenal to win the league, but if you just everyone take their bias out for a moment, just surely as Premier League football fans, we don't want the title race to be over in September or October time. You want it to be exciting. This here says, you said that Spurs are shit, yet you're all praising a masterclass by Arteta against a crap team. You all said no Rice, we're going to win comfortably. So is it a masterclass when you all predicted this?
I didn't predict that, to be fair. I'm not going to lie to you. I was nervous as an Arsenal fan, personally, going into this game, because derbies, if you look historically, even at our best, we always struggle to play Tottenham, right? Even with the likes of Henry, Pires, etc., invincible seasons, it was never clean cut. So for us to be losing 3 players, and this is where kind of it got lost on me when a lot of people were saying, oh, but we're bringing their form into it and etc. We've had better teams or teams that have done more and had more established winners and struggled to win 3 games away at Tottenham, yet alone having a whole midfield depleted. So for me, I was actually nervous coming to this game and thought, I was looking at it like worst case scenario. I'd be happy if we walked away with a draw at Tottenham and a draw away at City, because that would leave us within 4 points of City going going into, you know what I mean, having gone to Villa Park, City and Tottenham away.
And I think as well, and it's a good challenge, I think, to add in it. Obviously, when you get challenged, you can open up more on what you mean. What they did right today, Arsenal, is they didn't play the occasion, they played the game. So Arsenal, if they play the game, are better than Tottenham, in my opinion, 18, 19 times out of 20. I really believe that. If Arsenal would have played the occasion today and dropped out of their shape, pressed when they shouldn't have done, allowed Tottenham to have more space, they may have lost the game. And I think that maybe it wasn't articulated by a lot. I thought that Arsenal would win. And the reason I thought Arsenal would win, I thought there'd be more goals, by the way, today. Although I think the opportunities were there for goals. It was just sometimes really good defending and sometimes the final ball wasn't good. I think it was a comp for both teams. But I believed Arsenal would win because I just believed they would put in a mature performance as we saw today. I just thought they would know what to do. They would and stop Tottenham. And that's essentially what they did. Time is a weird concept. We remember how everyone spoke about Arteta. Ange is doing better than he did. It's like people never learn. Also, Company was a good coach, no PR. This is the thing. So it's not about people being good coaches or bad coaches. I actually think, and this is where although the new phrase of head coach comes out, there's an element to coaching that isn't, can you coach a brilliant looking style of football? There is, do you have the players to play that way, home and away, week in, week out? That is what the conversation is about. And sometimes you can do what company did and end up sort of fall upwards in that way. And they look really good, actually. I watched Bayern Munich's game yesterday. The ball was moving really, really well. But if you're not at a club that has the quality of players that Munich do, where I know they didn't win the league last year, but they are the most powerful force in that country with the best squad, generally speaking. And it looks like not only one, but two of the top players from Leverkusen, they're going to end up in the Bayern Munich team by next year. You can't always play and you've got to adapt. And I think that's where we lose ourselves in these conversations. It isn't about not being a good coach. It's not managing the situation that you're in well. There's a difference between coaching people how to play football and managing games. There's a difference between learning how to box in a boxing gym and sparring and then having a real fight with somebody. There's a fundamental difference between those two scenarios, even though you're wearing boxing gloves for both of them and the rules are pretty much the same. Sparring rules are a little different if you've ever sparred. But the point is that Ange is being criticized because he isn't making. And by the way, Arsenal did this on a number of occasions. I remember in the early stages of Arsenal, I was like, oh, is Arteta a pragmatist of a manager? I remember having the conversations on the terrace. When is he more of a pragmatist? It's how they won the FA Cup. He essentially looked at the team that had been built by Emery and Wenger and went, if I try and play attacking football, we're getting ripped apart. So he tried to create a team that was hard to break down and beat, and they went on to win an FA Cup that way. So Ange, for me, if he learned to adapt a little bit, and as his squad gets better and better, then I think people would criticize him less. But there we go. Terry, do the Tottenham? I haven't got that video of Tottenham come outside anymore. It got deleted off of the playlist, and I don't know where it is. I've got to find it. If anyone's got it anywhere on their phone safe, send it to me. I'd love to get it again. 10 away games in 2024, 9 wins, 1 draw, 31 goals scored, 3 conceded. And maybe this is why I look at Arsenal fans moaning and I look at it as a first world problem. And maybe that's the perspective of me as a United fan. I don't get, I sort of look at what you're doing as a team. And I know you haven't won the league yet, but I sort of look at the complaining. It is like a rich person moaning, oh, bloody hell, what? Got to take the leaves out of the pool today. For me, it's not something you should, do you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, bloody hell, guess what? The airline, we've got to fly business class instead of first class to the Bahamas for 2 weeks. That's how I personally see the complaints from my perspective and point of view. I feel like it's a first world problem, but there we go. This is what annoys me. Just say you parked the bus and won on a set piece. It's okay to say it was a smash and grab. Masterclass, what nonsense.
It wasn't a smash and grab, though, really. It was. You could look at it and say maybe because it's a 1-0, but that's the game plan. And when it's a game plan, it ain't a smash and grab. Like Spurs fans, and this is the problem with Spurs fans, that maybe it's because they're sour right now. They don't realize how comfortable the game was for Arsenal. The game was comfortable.
Yeah, probably barring the first 10 minutes. And Jerome, I suppose it's definitions. For me, growing up, what a smash and grab was a little bit like Chelsea's game yesterday, where your goal is peppered for large periods of the game. The goalie has to make a number of good saves and the team had great opportunities to score. You have one real clear-cut chance late on and win the game. I wouldn't call that today's match that. Both teams kind of cancelled each other's attacks out. I didn't think, if it finished a draw, nobody would have gone, had that end up a draw, if that makes sense. Arsenal just showed some clinical edge. So I would agree with you, it was a smash and grab if Raya was pulling off worldie after worldie after worldie, but my definition might differ from yours. Orchie here says, some perspective, this is the 4th game into the season. Spurs also have injuries at the start of this season, also start of the 2nd season of a rebuild. Arteta 6th season. I mean, that's true, but go on.
No, I was going to say to you, sometimes I think the conversation can be a little bit disingenuous because when we look at the finances of where Tottenham has spent and what the kind of measly money Arteta was working for the first 2 seasons of his tenure is incomparable. I think we spent 90 million one window, and then the next window after that's when we, I think his first window when he came in January, we spent nothing. And then in the summer, we spent 90 million. If you look at what Tottenham have spent, they're one of the top spenders. So there's also, that has to come into play where there's a return on investment, right? How much are you spending on your team? There's expectations rise with the amount of money you spend. Hence why Chelsea get, plastered all the time for where they are at, or where they have been at for a significant period of time because they spent so much. So you
I hear
can't
that.
spend like big boys and then and then ask them why you've been spoken about like little boys.
Yeah, I get you. Apart from the defenders, Kai Havertz put in a masterful performance today. He was in midfield, attack, and contributing in defence. Ange was playing noughts and crosses today. Sorry, noughts and crosses today with the number of pointless X's sent in the box. Just be clear, XD. I don't know what that means. I don't know why that went over my head.
Crosses set in the box.
I'll just any random crosses. A great win for us today. Ange has been found out. Also, sorry, I've already done that one. Thank you very, very much for that super chat. Look, I want to thank everyone who tuned in today. This was a record-breaking stream that hit 12,500 viewers in its pomp. So thank you to everyone who's hit the like button. You're amazing. To all the people that have put in comments, you're brilliant. Panel amazing. Super chat is you the best. This video is going to take you through to Mo and Hassam's channel. So make sure is it Mo's or is it yours? It's someone's channel.
No. It's MHF.
MHF. I always get it wrong. I was going to say Mo and Hassam's channel. It's easier. Go and watch it now and go and support it now, people, and go and subscribe over there. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And listen, be on the Top 6 show tomorrow night, 6 p.m. It's going to be fire. Peace.